Miss General Evaluator, fellow Toastmasters, most honored guests, and Jos. Jos, you pumped us up! Because you have enthusiasm. And that's really important for what's potentially a very dry speech with a lot of detail. Well, you certainly did a lot of things right. Now, whenever I evaluate a manual speech, I look for the purpose in the manual, but as you explained to me, it doesn't really have a purpose, but we know what the purpose is by the content, that it was educational in nature, and it was intended to motivate us, which it certainly did. I was impressed that when you came up to the lectern, you didn't just try to jump into your speech. You waited until others had set up your equipment, and you made sure everything was functioning before you started. Oh, and I was impressed that your remote control worked. Very important. You had good gestures. You didn't use any notes because your material was on the slides. You left the lectern, you came out and talked directly to us. Excellent job. You had good voice modulation, and that led to the enthusiasm. Great job, great job. Excellent content, because you told us step by step what was required to have the DTM designation, and you had handouts for us to take home, because there were a lot of steps. We could not have retained all of this without the handouts. Very, very good. Oh, and you talked about the importance of goals. Write your name down before the designation so you're visualizing your goal. Very, very important. And you talked about the 10 speeches in the basic manual. I chuckled because when I did it well into the last century, it said a minimum 15 speeches. Yes, things changed. A little bit easier. I thought it was very good that you talked about getting credit in small chunks over a period of time, because that gets you actually moving. Very, very important. Oh, and you emphasize points. Let me repeat this. Very, very good. Now, no matter how good a job we do, there are things we could have done better to take us to the next level. So let me think. First of all, let's talk about jargon for just a moment. I think you had a grammatical mistake on purpose as humor. I didn't think that quite worked. You said they don't got their DTM. Okay, I think I would have done it. The next thing is, and you did this to a certain extent, but you need to do more. What's in it for me? Now, you talked about using the certificate in a performance review, so you did cover a little bit of that, but I would do even more. And finally, whenever you're dealing with a dull subject, you need to continually reinforce the audience. I would have more personal stories of success. You did have the one about the humorous speech manual and how it worked for you, but I would have more. I'm very experienced in teaching dull subjects, because in the 80s and 90s, I taught 6- and 7-hour seminars on real estate contracts to realtors for continuing education credit. And I learned that every 15 minutes I'd have to tell a war story or tell a joke, or your eyes would glaze over. This is potentially dull too. But you did a great job. I hope each and every one of you get on track to get your DTM. Let's give her a round of applause.